Going off of the gold standard in 1970, and again, you could just look into the Cantillon effect. The more you print money, the more wealth disparity you create.
Right, have and have nots.
And so again, the political landscape becomes a reflection of this economic reality. And so I would argue largely where we are today with this postmodern, total political divide, like to the point where red demonizes blue and blue demonizes red, and it's really deeply entrenched psychotic behavior. All of that is rooted in the economics of corrupt money. So cultural corruption, cultural degradation, postmodernism, relativism, right? And so fiat, in my opinion, and I've written about this because I think there's a deep scientific principle here that's scarcely explored. I think when your money is relativistic, right, it's not tethered to anything. It's just a matter of opinion now. There's no fact. You could say gold was like the fact of money, right? It's a proven money. No one can counterfeit it. No one could bend the rules, right? It was a game with set rules, effectively. Fiat currency is the exact opposite. It's a game where all the rules are just made up. You never know what they are going to be. You never know how many dollars they're going to print, how many are in circulation, who gets to decide, what are their criteria for deciding, who's profiting, where are they? You can't, none of it. It's just it's a madhouse. In fiat, it's just relativism, right? There's no truth. There is no truth in fiat. It's because I said so. Who said so? Why did they say so? How can they back that? With what force? Should I be scared? Should I resist? What should you do? Like, there's no like gravity in fiat, right? Gold was gravity. It's like no one could change the supply, so we all just kind of adhere to its rules, which is exactly why government hated it. It's like, God, this fucking gravity, gold gravity, I can't escape it. I want to be free to spend and do whatever I want, wage war for as long as I want, as many places as I want. Why can't I just tax everyone without them knowing? Oh, well, turns out you can if you monopolize gold and you run this like disinformation campaign on it and you violently steal gold, as you did with Executive Order 6102. Like, there were all these efforts to escape gravity, basically, by government. And so in fiat world, it's the opposite. It's just there's no up or down or left or right. Everyone is their own truth, and your pronoun is whatever you want. I'm a flag. I'm a piece of grass.
I was about to bring it up because it's very interesting you mention that. So I heard Douglas Murray talk about this. So at the end of empires, whether we're talking about the Greeks or the Romans and now us, there tends to be this obsession, a documented obsession with sort of gender fluidity and being obsessed with gender and changing the norms around it. And so the question is why? And he posits that it's basically because something like gender, biological reality, not even gender, like sex, biological realities, this is the ultimate sort of truth. It's so self-evident. And if you can get people to even believe that that's shifting and that's untrue and that's not based in reality, then you can question everything else. Yes. Then there is no truth. And that's exactly what postmodernism, as you referenced, stands for. It's an attack on objective reality. And I never put two and two together in that respect. And postmodernism actually came to prominence around the same time, of course, as the gold standard. I think the 70s and 80s is really when it started hitting its stride. It's that postmodernism is an attack on objectivity. It's an attack on the ability to know what is true. It's ability. Yes. They deny that there is real truth in the world. And so if you corrupt the money supply, as you said, if money isn't real, it's not based on anything, it's subject to opinions and whims, then everything else is. That's interesting. That's how we get to the point where we are now.
Yeah, and the civilizations you bring up that start to experiment with gender fluidity in their later stages, they also bastardized their monetary protocols, right? They too were suffering from corrupted money in late empire. So this is it's something that's gone hand in hand. I don't think it's been deeply explored. Material engagement theory has explored a lot of aspects of this, but it hasn't drilled into the money. I don't know it's such a strange thing to me that it seems like it's a very taboo topic. Even, my show is called the What is Money Show, but when I talk to people about money that they're not in the Bitcoin circles, let's say, they kind of get skeptical. They're like, well, why are you talking about money so much? Like, are you trying to make money? Like, they think I'm trying to like to talk about money is taboo. Like to talk about power.
You got a new canine coin coming up.
Yeah. So it's like, it's so taboo. So you have to ask yourself, why is it so taboo? Right? Are we conditioned to not want to think about or talk about money and power very deeply? is there who would stand to gain from such conditioning, right? If you're going to hide something, you're going to hide corruption and coercion, seems useful to hide it in plain sight and never talk about it. And then just wrap it in all these euphemisms. Inflation, right? Inflation sounds great. Like, oh, my house is more
good for
my
you.
house is more valuable. My stocks are going up. Like, denominate that shit and change in money supply. It's all flat. It's all flat, right? The past 10 years, the stock market boom, complete illusion. Denominate it in the delta of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. It goes flat to down. Denominate it in gold, flat. Denominate it in Bitcoin, it's collapsing. It's not really fair though, because Bitcoin's monetizing. So that's kind of a bogey there. But the point is this: that we have destroyed our relationship with truth, at least partially, in my opinion, by destroying our relationship with hard money, because hard money is truth, right? It is work. Gold is money backed by work. You cannot counterfeit work. You cannot fake work. You cannot pretend work. You either deliver results or you die. This is Darwinian reality. And that's what Bitcoin is, right? Bitcoin is taking us back to truth. It's like money as an instrument for trading time and energy must be of a commensurate scarcity as time and energy. We can't just print time and energy. Therefore, we can't just print money without destroying our socioeconomic cooperation, and I think destroying ourselves individually in the process.
The couple things people are familiar with who are outside the space. They know Bitcoin is capped at some point. They know you can sort of, it's another advantage is that you can send a large amount of it in a relatively quick period of time around the world, beyond just the fact that it's scarce. So what are the biggest advantages it gives to society?
Well, it's incorruptible money. We've never had a social construct, which again, nation states, money, human rights, these are all social constructs, right? They're useful fictions, effectively. We've never had a social construct that we ourselves could not corrupt. Even the United States, right? One of the most successful social constructs in human history, built on the American Constitution, the Bill of Rights. And where are we today, 250 years later? Right? We're talking about mandating injections into children. Is that consistent with private property rights? I don't think so. We have a central bank. Well, it took 3 attempts to get a central bank into the United States. The first 2 were rejected, largely by efforts from Andrew Jackson. The central bank is anti-capitalistic. It is only there to violate private property rights. It does nothing else. It can do nothing else. It manages the money supply. So it's managing your contract to gold. If it can artificially print new contracts for itself and ultimately rescind the contract entirely, as was done in 1971, how is that serving the American Constitution that this country was founded upon? It's attacking the American Constitution. All right? The right to bear arms, that's already obliterated in many states in the country. It's under attack in many others. We've just never had everything that we create, even the best of intentions, the best of ideas, it becomes corrupted over time. But with Bitcoin, it's something fundamentally different. We've taken these principles of private property, of, no undue search and seizure. Like Bitcoin's really hard to steal. You can't inflate it at all. It's anchored in energy expenditure, which is to say work. So you can only obtain it through work. Obviously, there's a principle of equality embedded in this, that you can't just print money. It's an incorruptible money that the 21 million hard cap and the consensus mechanisms that cohere its integrity cannot be broken. There's no conceivable way to break them by any individual, any institution, any nation state. And this is the beauty of Bitcoin, is that it's really just optimized for that, to preserve its integrity, to preserve cohesion of the social layer by honoring their individual self-interest, and by being unchangeable. It's immutable. There's no corruption. There's nothing hidden. There's a simple way to think about it.
Right.
There's nothing hidden.
BlackRock can't create any more of it either.
BlackRock can't do it. Yeah. So we have an incorruptible base layer of money for a global digital non-state economy. That's the great hope of Bitcoin.